Hello, I am Lauren Weinberg. I am a psychologist turned the becoming coach because we're always in the process of becoming. I specialize in women's empowerment and holistic well being.
Hi, I'm Melanie McLeod, and I am a certified professional coach that specializes in spiritual business coaching. Welcome to Talking Transformation Live.
Where it will always be real talk in real time for real people because that's us, we're real people, and that's absolutely you. So, hi, Melanie, welcome back.
Hi, Lauren. Thank you. So, for those of you who don't know, I just spent 10 days in Panama, and it was fantastic. It was just wonderful to be in a new environment or a different environment and a hot environment, especially coming back and having to wear a coat. It was a wonderful, wonderful experience. And how was your week?
I had a great week also, and I also got a short getaway with some good friends that helped me on my journey. That we're all, as I say, we're all always becoming. And so, four of us went to the mountains and sat and really sort of got in touch with what our goals are and what we want for ourselves coming up in the future and how we can support each other. And I think that just like you and I do as well, I think that having a clan of people who really help you on your journey is so important.
It really is because I think that, we're all influenced by our environment, who we surround ourselves by. And I always use that example when someone just stands here and just laughs and laughs and laughs. After a while, you find yourself laughing. You don't know why you're laughing, but you feel this laughter around you and it just starts to take hold of you. And it's the same when you're dealing with people who are toxic or people who are complainers or people who are always finding, the glass empty, not even half, just empty.
That's right. And it's so important to be discerning about who you spend your time with. And part of that leads us to our conversation that we decided to talk about today, which is all about owning your feelings. And I think it's so important to be careful about choosing with whom you spend your time because we so often give our sense of ownership over our feelings away to the people around us, to the situations that we're in. I mean, and that's what we're going to talk about is what does it look like to actually own your feelings?
Yeah,
But
and I think one of the things that is important for me when we talk about this topic, I had a situation last night where I actually was in New York City at JFK, and we had to figure out how to get back to the Philadelphia area. So we decided to rent a car, and there was a mix up. The wrong car was in the parking spot. Our car didn't exist, and they had to redo everything. But in the process, one of the other agents at the counter starts screaming at a customer. And everything he was saying was all about him. You didn't ask me all these questions. I don't make the prices. Blah, blah, blah. And he just went on and on and on. I don't even want to talk to you. You're making me feel this way. Blah, blah, blah. And I'm sitting here and going, wow. Okay, so you're owning your feelings, but that's not the way we want to own our feelings. Own, if you feel some kind of way, yes, it's important to know how you're feeling, but there's appropriateness. And because you are feeling some kind of way doesn't mean that you need to dump all of that on someone else. So we want to make that clear before we start talking about owning feelings, because owning feelings are important. But owning them and then using them to just lash at someone is not good.
absolutely. And you said something else in that story. You said that the person behind the counter said, and you're making me feel. And that's the thing. And you're always big on saying this no one else can make you feel any such way.
Right.
Only you can make you feel whatever that feeling is. It all comes from you. So if you don't give somebody permission to make you feel a certain way, then it's not going to happen, right? Like you can own, and you need to own the responsibility for having your feelings, because it doesn't matter what somebody else is doing. It's your choice whether you allow it to affect you or not.
Right. And in effect is the big issue. It's really being able to, when I own my feelings, and I can think about, well, why am I feeling this way? And then what do I want to do about it? Because how I feel and sitting in my feelings are great, but choosing to stay there or choosing to do something
Choosing.
different, it's a choice. I can choose to be upset. I can choose to be angry. I can choose to cry. I can choose to scream. I can choose to do whatever I want to do. But I need to understand where my feelings are coming from because, as you said, responding is about how what I heard made me feel. The 100% responsibility is on me. I can respond. I can say, I'm really not a fan of how you're talking to me. Okay, that's a response. But screaming at you saying, you're talking to me that way, it's doing this to me. Like, well, I wish sometimes I could videotape even myself and other people to see how ridiculous it can look sometimes when you're screaming at, you're doing this to me. This is all your fault. It's like, okay.
Well, and that's the thing. I mean, doing to me, right? When it comes to feelings, nobody's doing anything to you. And let me just welcome, if there's anybody listening to us, please let us know that you're here. You may have a whole different opinion about this topic, but we would love to hear from you. So feel free to drop us a note in the comment. That's how we know you're here. We'd love to have you as part of the conversation. And if you join us afterward, after we're no longer live, then please drop a note in the comments, because I know people have strong feelings about this topic,
Absolutely. Absolutely.
and it's understandable. But what we're getting at, what we're trying to say, I think both of us, I feel like, are saying the same thing, is that if you're going, you can use the way that you're feeling as information, right? I
Absolutely.
am feeling something. And you can investigate, where is that feeling coming from? What is
Yes.
it telling me about this situation? And that happens through checking in with yourself physically, right?
Mhm.
Like you might feel your chest tightening, or you might feel tears starting, right?
Yeah.
There might be a physical sensation, or it may be thoughts that you're having that
Yep.
are contributing to the feeling that you're experiencing. It's information, but
Yes.
believe it or not, it doesn't come from the other person. They may be exhibiting a behavior that triggers something for you, and that's where the learning comes in.
Yeah.
But how, like you said, how you respond is a choice. Is it going to be that knee jerk reaction where you're not thoughtful, you're just going with your gut? Or can you take a moment and pause, own the feeling that you're
Mhm.
having, and then make a decision about how you're going to respond?
Absolutely. And the other one that I see a lot of is when people don't really allow themselves to own their feelings because they're always apologizing.
Hmm.
It's like, oh, I'm sorry. I should. What are you sorry about? I've seen people, you get emotional, and then they're like, I'm sorry, and they're like wiping it.
Right.
The thing is that you don't need to apologize to anyone. You get to choose whether you want to um, admit that emotion in front of someone or whether you rather leave. And it's fine to be able to say, I'm really sorry, but I need to leave right now, and go in the bathroom and cry. But don't tell yourself that it's not okay to cry. It is okay to cry. Don't apologize for it. But cry with a purpose. I love to say that because when if you're crying because whatever is happening to you has made you feel whatever it is you're feeling, crying is cleansing. And crying also allows you to get to the point where you are releasing your feelings and emotions. And now then you can now go from here to here to say, okay, so what was that about for me? What's really happening for me right now? Because I feel better because I was able to connect to that emotion I had, and now I can determine whether I want to choose a different emotion now because I've allowed myself to fully embrace the emotion that I needed to feel in that moment.
And that's so important. What you're describing is enormously important. you need to experience the full breadth of your emotions and honor yourself. It's part of honoring yourself to experience even the negative emotions. It may not be comfortable. You may not want to have those feelings, but when you don't and you stuff them down, they pop out in ways that you no longer have control over.
Yes.
And that is often the precursor to mindless eating or comfort eating. It's often the precursor to shouting at somebody when it really doesn't even have anything to do with them. It's like a release valve, but it's not the proper emotion. You're not really angry. Maybe you're hurt or upset at a different situation. It's just coming out as anger. You have to experience the breadth and the full depth of your feelings in order to not have them rule your behavior.
100%. And I think that this is a tough one. And it's tough for a lot of people because there are many cultures. There are many people who do it by gender. There are many people who do it by religion or whatever. We don't show emotion. We don't. And so you grow up with it not being okay to feel. And that's, that was a tough one for me. I mean, I always heard that only girls cry. And so I didn't want to be considered weak or a sissy or any of those things because I had emotions. So I always I took great pride and never crying. I don't cry. No, you just suck it up and you deal with things. But the thing is that when you do that, when you stuff, it's going to come out either as a disease or it's going to come out backwards when you go off on somebody and don't even know why you went off on them because you got triggered.
Absolutely. Absolutely. And I also think that what happens when we stuff our feelings down, we don't experience the feelings we don't want to have, like those difficult emotions, we're blunting ourselves. And when we do that, we're not going to experience the highs as real highs either. We're going to end up living right in that middle. And I know because I did that for years. For years, I felt very uncomfortable that I hadn't finished my doctorate. And it's something that I stuffed down and stuffed down. So what happened? It used to pop up in the middle of the night. It would wake me up with a start for years. And I think that I spent a long time living, I call it what I was experiencing, like living in the shallows, because I wasn't getting those highs either, because I wasn't really looking at the depth of my emotions that I had over that experience.
Yeah, and that's really true. One of the things that I think when we aren't able to fully embrace all of our emotions, we lose that sense of balance. We tend to be extremes. We tend to go from, everything's fine and great to, all the way up here. I think that if we're able to, in the moment we have feelings, address them. And I've done exercises like this with clients, and it's amazing to see because one minute they're being a victim and they're talking about all of these horrible things that people did to them. And the next minute they're just allowing themselves to feel. And once let's go through the feelings and get that out, then they go, wow,
Yeah.
the person didn't really do anything to me, or my wife or my husband, I'm screaming at them and they didn't deserve that. And then it becomes a thing where, wow, I realize now that once I address that feeling and connected to that feeling, it has nothing to do with out here. It was just all about me and needing to release that and feel better about that. And now I can embrace a different emotion. I can embrace kindness and gentleness and empathy and compassion and all those other things. I can't embrace all of those things when I'm stuck on not feeling emotions that need to be felt.
Absolutely. And I had a very powerful experience with a client who had tried everything to stop her compulsive eating. She would eat to stuff down her emotions, and she knew that. She knew it. It's something that people talk about in programs, but she hadn't fully experienced what it's like, as you're saying, to allow herself to feel, to deeply feel what was ever coming up for her in that moment.
Yeah.
And when we practiced being able to just sit with the emotion, to get curious about it, to experience where it's showing up in your body, what it's trying to tell you, what triggered it, what are the thoughts associated with it, that she was able to sit. It wasn't comfortable. She didn't love it, but she no longer had that sense of needing to go and do something to hide from her emotions.
Yeah.
She learned to own her emotions, and it
Absolutely.
made all the difference. She was able to give up that compulsive eating for the first time in her life.
Yeah, so I think that one of the things that, as you said, is that it isn't easy, and it doesn't feel good, and a lot of us want to avoid feeling bad, so we don't want to own what we're really feeling. But I can tell you that it gets easier, and it gets to the point where you don't have to have all the drama in your life because you're able to say, in this moment, I'm feeling like this, and it doesn't need to be a public display. It can be something that you're able to go privately when you need to and sit down and say, what am I really feeling right now? And why am I feeling emotional? And if I'm feeling emotional, let me let it out and then let me sit with where did that come from for me? Because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling that. To me, that's fully owning your feelings. It's not saying what someone did to me and I had a right to tell them off. Because a lot of people think that's what owning their feelings is. I told him off. I told her off. Oh, those
Don't bring
feelings.
anybody else into the drama of your emotions.
That's right.
That's about you and yourself. And at the same time, you need to honor. You need to honor your emotions, because emotions aren't good or bad. They just are. And some are comfortable and fabulous, and some are uncomfortable, but they're not good or bad. So they're often your intuition giving you messages and telling you what's really going on, and something to pay attention to. Because when you learn to pay attention to your emotions, you will truly connect with what's
Mhm.
important inside of you.
Absolutely. And we've talked about on other programs about, anger and hurt, and so sometimes the emotions comes from hurt, and the hurt comes from triggers of things that have happened to us. And so we always have to be consciously aware, because every experience we've had in our life and in our past, they're still always with us on some level, whether it's conscious or unconscious. And so being able to know that in that moment when I'm being triggered, and whether the emotion is anger or the emotion is tears or whatever the emotion is, that it's really just about sitting with it for you and being able to own it and being able to be okay with feeling whatever you need to feel without it needing to be a knee jerk, as you put it, a knee jerk reaction
Yeah.
and affecting a whole bunch of innocent folks out there.
So those beautifully summarized. And for those who are listening, let us know. Do you own your feelings? What gets in the way? What makes it easier for you? Have you learned some coping techniques that allow you to really sit with your feelings and own them, and not just have those automatic reactions that end up involving other people in your internal world?
Absolutely. And again, the last words are, you got to go through it to get to it. So feel what you need to feel. Feel your feels.
Feel all the feels, feel all the feels, own your emotions, and then you can meet people with love and compassion and hope. And we hope that all of you enjoy the conversation and participate in the conversation. Don't forget to subscribe and let us know what you think. And Mel, why don't you tell them how they can reach us?
Absolutely. So please feel free to reach out to us at talkingtransformationlive@gmail.com, or you can reach us at our respective websites. Lauren is lastingchangewellness.com, and I'm at coachesolutions.com. And we hope that you'll tune in, same time, same place.
We'll see you next time.
Bye bye.